Hi there, I'm Jim Brayshaw. Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to tell you we've discussed Lucifer in a previous video, and we talked about who and what Lucifer is because we find that's the first step in understanding whether or not Satan is real. We need to know if Lucifer is actually a fallen angel. So take a look at that video when you get a chance. As for today, we're going to discuss another important step in this process of knowing who and what Satan is. If you or I have a belief, not only should it be able to be formed from the Bible, but it needs to be formed in a way that does not add assumptions to what's said in the Bible. And we've found that the doctrine of Satan is full of assumptions added to biblical text and language. Let me let you in on a little known fact. The word Satan was never intended by the writer to be a name. It's in fact not a proper noun. Well, you know what? I would love to prove that to you, and we could look the word Satan up in 100 different dictionaries, and we're not going to be any further ahead, because what we need to do when we're dealing with things of the Bible is look at the language of the Bible, as I've said, and find out what that meant. Now, if we look at the Hebrew word sawtawn, which actually appears 27 times in the Hebrew text and has been translated into a couple different words in the English text, we find adversary was the original meaning of it. In fact, in one of the greatest stories about a sawtawn we'll find in the Old Testament, in fact, it's the first place you're going to find the word sawtawn, which is very important to consider when trying to understand the meaning of a word. We find the writer talking about a prophet of Israel. His name was Balaam. He was heading off on his ass to go and curse Israel, the nation of Israel. And of course, that was against the plan of the Creator. So the story goes on in Numbers 22 to say, and when Balaam was getting upon his ass to curse Israel, the angel of the Lord got in the way of Balaam to be an adversary. Hang on, we're looking for the word Satan. Well, let me stop you right there. The actual Hebrew text says the angel of the Lord went in the way of Balaam to be a sawtawn to Balaam. That shows us that this angel of the Lord was intent on stopping Balaam from cursing the tribes of Israel. He wanted to be an adversary to Balaam's plan of attack. And therefore, the angel of the Lord was the sawtawn. The angel of the Lord is Satan. Quite simply, if we take that verse for what it says in English, we have to believe that God's angel, or the messenger, or however that played out that day when Balaam was riding his donkey along that craggy hill, was actually the Satan. Now you may have a question about this word sawtawn we find in Numbers. Is it the same word used for Satan in other places in the Bible? Well, in fact, if we see the word in Job, the word Satan, it in fact is the Hebrew word sawtawn, again referring to an adversary, and most probably referring to a human adversary. We see in Zechariah, again, when Zechariah is being accused by the nasty guys who don't want him to be high priest. The word Satan is used in the vision we're told about. That's the English word. The Hebrew word again is sawtawn. Underlying those uses of the word there and elsewhere in the entire Bible, we find that we are only dealing with a common noun and not a proper noun in any way. What I'm saying is our Bible should not have a capital S Satan on it anywhere. That word just simply can't be taken and made into a proper noun unless we're adding assumptions to the Bible, which we know is not supposed to be the case when we form our doctrines and beliefs from what is supposedly known as God's Word. If we're hearing right after considering the Numbers 22 passage about Balaam being confronted by Sawtawn, then the angel of the Lord is actually Satan. How is that possible? Well, it's only possible when we understand a Satan to be an adversary. And, in fact, the first use of that word, which we see in Numbers 22, should inform us as to what the future uses of that word should be in biblical study. So let's take what sawtawn means in Numbers 22, add it to our reading and understanding of other uses of sawtawn and Satan in the Hebrew Scriptures, and come to the conclusion that you could be a Satan, I could be a Satan. Anyone who opposes anyone else or opposes the Creator and His plan is, in fact, a sawtawn, a Satan, an adversary. So the next time you're confronted with someone who says Satan's real, consider to say to them, yes, Satan is real, if you mean it's simply referring to another person who's opposing someone. And by all means, if you encounter any wickedness, evil, or harsh unfairness in your world, go out and be the Satan to that and oppose that as best as you can. Because if you're going to be adverse to things that are against the Creator, I think we're all going to be better off for it. Be a Satan. You'll love it.